This is a brand new 30-ton hydraulic press brake from China. It is custom built to fit in my garage. It has a 1.3 meter bending width and it cost me 5,000 euros. A bit of a tiny issue though, it's also broken. And it has been sitting here for 18 months, while me pretending that it isn't. 5 days in, hydraulic oil everywhere. I then scrambled to stop it from spreading, with whatever I could grab. Sand, rugs, anything. The fitting ripped clean out of the valve block. Threads look fine, but somehow the metal just tore away. This is also where the long gap in this video actually happened. The fitting had failed. The factory had sent me one replacement fitting and basically left the rest to me. And I had no idea how the hydraulics on this machine worked. I already had too many other projects, and every time I walked past the brake, touching it felt like a good way to turn one broken fitting into an entire ruined valve block. Then I got the fiber laser. Suddenly I could turn a drawing into a sheet metal part in minutes. But almost every useful part still needs a bend. The press brake was no longer just an intimidating project I could ignore, it was the missing half of a workflow I actually needed. That was finally enough to make me stop procrastinating and taking it apart. I thought this was going to be a 10-minute job. Removing fittings, not that difficult, right? But it was a bit more challenging than that. So the first try was pliers. Well, that didn't work. Then I tried a blowtorch. Got very hot, but didn't precisely do the job. So then I recently got this portable induction heater. Gave that a try. And it actually helped. And with a bit of hammering, I was actually able to get it loose. Now, I need to figure out how to get this thing out. There's no screws in the top, so it must be in the bottom, right? The annoying thing is that it's in the tank, so I have to get dirty. So after fingering in the forbidden hole and getting my hands dirty, I finally got it out. It's a bit of an interesting detail that it just welded a pipe to a fitting in order to make a pickup. I guess that works, right? Fixing this press brake is proving that cheap often ends up being expensive in the long run. To avoid that on the electronic side, I stick with PCBWAY. They aren't just for PCBs anymore. They do CNC machining, 3D printing and full assembly. When I'm stuck in a loop of anxiety versus ignorance, having a reliable partner to manufacture my designs takes off a massive weight off my shoulders. Huge thanks to PCBWAY for supporting the channel and helping me turn this 1-ton shelf back into a working tool. Link is in the description. Now, let's go back to the heat and oil of this machine. After fighting those fittings, I realized the original manifold was a lost cause. The threads were too far gone and the internal passages were full of factory grit. So I'm starting fresh with this blank manifold block. It's the only new part of the assembly. Everything else, from the valves to the fittings, has to be salvaged and moved over. Well, almost everything. When they send over the machine, at least they zip tied some seals to it. Looking back, I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign. Remember, we're talking about 200 bars here, so I made sure to get rid of all the manufacturing burrs of this cheap manifold with an oil stone and cleaned up all the surfaces of grease and oil. I especially made sure that everything was stroked down to spec. So the last thing we have to deal with now is this strip fitting. The one that caused all of these problems. Now, we basically need to do it all in reverse. Put the valve block in its position, connect all the difficult hoses and then, fill it with oil and see what it does. Kinda scared. I have no idea how this is going. This doesn't do anything. Starts pulling crooked. I need to figure out how to fix it. So I finally got the machine up and running. Well, I got it moving up and down. Why I didn't do that before? No clue. I actually think I know. I think the limit switches were like, they weren't in the right position. It's just one single hydraulic pump with a up-down hydraulic switch thing. So what this does is it just goes down. But of course, depending on your plate thickness, you need to adjust this thing. And of course, the hydraulic system now, it is not accurate. So it can just press down with a lot of force and go up basically with a lot of force. That's the only thing the hydraulic system can do. So this thing needs a way to do some fine adjustment to adjust for your thickness. So what it uses for that is this thing. So there's a motor here. It has some worm wheel transmission. Here's an encoder. Before I show you what failed on mine, it helps to understand why this tiny encoder matters. Making 30 tons of force is easy. The hard part is keeping both sides of a meter-wide ram exactly at the same height, while the load constantly changes. Expensive machines measure the position on both sides and correct the hydraulics independently. But instead of me explaining it, let's watch this video from our friend Wes, as he can explain this much better than I do.
All we need is a solenoid valve and a position sensor for each cylinder. No matter how you load it, the computer can synchronize both cylinders within a few microns.
Encoder, it mounts normally on this, but what you can see here, instead of just actually making a hole in the middle, this thing is off center. And there actually was something wrong in control, which I still have to figure out. When it was kind of supposed to press down with a hydraulic press, it only kept turning this. So of course, at some point you turn into a hard limit and then it just stops. But the thing is, there is no sensor to figure out what the hard limit is. So what it will do is it will just run itself till it breaks, which of course is also not ideal situation. But anyway, so this broke. Yeah, okay, easy enough to fix, I thought. Yeah, that's kind of shit. And it's a bit more, this part is kind of more shit than I had hoped. Because now it's slightly turning into a project, and I wasn't really planning for a project. I bend things, like, I can bend things this. It's not particularly supposed to be accurate or whatever. I was just bending things. But if your fine adjust doesn't work properly, well, then it kind of stops, right? Like, this would be so easy to do it properly. I don't understand why this came on this kind of stupid stuff. And also, this thing is not perfectly aligned. You kind of see like there's an angle on it. Why? In the sense, like, it works. It's a bit of a bummer in the sense that needs some final touches, and I was hoping that I didn't really have to do that. Like, this kind of thing I find kind of stupid. Like, it's not difficult to do this banner. Let's say it would have cost like $50 to make this banner. Like, yeah, why not? And us are crooked. Yeah, I'm tired. Sleeping did not make the shaft any straighter. So the next evening I designed a drill jig to put the new hole in the center. Question is, will it fit? There you are. Will it fit? Will it fit? Ooh, it fit. Could be a little bit tighter, actually. It's just a little bit of play. But I think it's good enough, so I put a 2mm hole in here. I will get a 2mm drill. See how this goes. Unlike you. Before trusting it on a real part, I checked the bend on both sides and then cycled the ram against a dial indicator. The mechanism was repeatable enough. The stupid part is that this controller only knows millimeters of ram travel. It has no idea what angle that depth will produce. The hardware was fixed, but the brain was still missing, so I wrote my own. Decode the settings on the press brake into something I can actually understand. So it just gives you some random Y value. So it says, let's say Y 5mm. If you need a bend which is 90 degrees, that doesn't tell you anything. So I made a program with Cloud Code to basically do 2 or 3 bends. And within like 2 or 3 bends, so let's say you do 90, you do, let's say 135 and 110 degrees, something like that, then it's basically spot on. And this controller is a controller you see actually on many machines, even on machines which are like 30 grand, 50 grand. But I find it kind of limiting. My custom program, which I made with Cloud Code, because I was trying to figure out, well, how do you figure out how many millimeter means what? So let me quickly show you. This is a program I made with Cloud Code. I call it brake calibration. So in here, you have a library, you have your punches. Well, this graphic is not really good, but in essence, it goes about the data. It's just some random graphic I took from. So today we're working with a 10mm opening, 8 degrees. And then you have a setup. So you select a material. In this situation, this is one which was already saved. So aluminum. I don't know for sure if it's this type. but yeah, it's good enough. And here are old bands which were made basically. So here you see that Y value again. So if you want 135 degrees for this material, in this setup, you need to have your Y value on about 4.66. And let me see. Here you can see 90 degrees and we need to put on 2590. So this is based on calibrations we did before. But if you do a new calculation, it basically tells you the same. So tells you 2.59. It says the confidence is high. Why? Because it's based on measurements. Here is a source exact match. But if you want something slightly different, it also works. Here it gives you some warnings because 90 degrees close to the die angle. So you get some different kind of physics, blah, 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 blah. Here you have the part and we need to know this distance. I can't remember, it's 16 millimeters. So the X value controls these fingers. So they go forward and backwards. So we want a band at 16 millimeters. So if I set this manually at 0 when it is at this point. So it's close enough. So if I fill in 16 millimeters, this machine gets, well, 2 here somewhere. So when we hold our metal against it, it's exactly in the correct position.
A calculator is only useful if it survives a real part. So I cut the bracket on the laser and used the calibration data to bend both flanges. So now it's time to program the bends. So the first thing we need to do is actually set the 0 position, first of the RAM and secondly of those fingers. The setting is hidden behind a special menu which requires a password to exit, but once you're there you can actually adjust it. Now we can just enter the value where the fingers need to be away from the center of the die, in this instance 16 millimeters, to get the bend in the correct position. Now we press run and the fingers will go 16 millimeters versus our home position. The last data we need to enter is the Y value. This Y value in this instance is 2.59, which comes out of our calculator. And now I can finally start using this machine, what it actually was bought for.
My specific instance is going on the side of the machine here.
Getting here That took 18 months, and that's quite a long time. A rib fitting, a rebuilt valve block, a crooked encoder, and a calibration program. It's still a cheap machine, and I still do not completely trust it. But now it makes the angle I asked for, and that has finally earned the precious space in my garage.